PSA-graded returns. Yeah, fun stuff. All right, I'm kind of running out of cold opens, so at this point I'll probably be reduced to showing you a funny Pokemon meme and maybe like one of those weird wonky Twitter conversations. So that's the cold open for today, and I just smacked the crap out of the camera. But yeah, so that's where we're at. All right, have I made this long and painful enough? Okay, cool. Let's roll the intro. Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, PSA return number 7 of 15. We are approaching the hill. You know, the thing where you go over the hill and then you're halfway done. Anyways, yeah, number 7. Super excited. Let's see what we see. I think we are firmly out of legendary collection territory. I think, more importantly, nowadays, last video we spent a lot of time looking at some reverse foil expedition cards. Something I did not expect was that many of those reverse foil cards got PSA 10s. Thought that was pretty neat, thought that was pretty interesting. Definitely recommend you go check that out, as well as the other 6 PSA graded return videos that have gone on in relation to this particular set of PSA graded returns. And without further ado, let's just jump right on into this. I did realize one thing. I flipped these cards over. They came out of the box weird, so that was interesting. All right, so now let us see what we see. So here we have some Expedition holographic cards. Now this is easily, and I know this is a weird statement, my favorite Machamp Pokemon card. And I realize that there's probably like 3 or 4 that exist. I distinctly remember the one from Burning Shadows, the one from base set, obviously the one reprinted in Expedition, but this is by far the coolest. I think he just looks like so menacing and like fighting type Pokemon. So definitely a cool card. PSA-9, so not bad. Very good looking card. Next up is a Kingler. Now, this has a swirl, and you can see the swirl is right there next to his crab hammer or claw or whatever whatever you choose to call it. Easily 100% one of my favorite cards. More importantly, one of my favorite Pokemon. I don't know why, but I really like Kingler. So yeah, that's a random little fun fact. It's just that the Analytic Gengar didn't quite sound like a YouTube channel that would get 1,000 subscribers. So executive decisions had to get made. Here is the reverse version of that card. This one graded a PSA 9, so another really cool card. As many of you know, I love me a good water type Pokemon card. Speaking of executive decisions that got made, the channel mascot himself graded a PSA 8. Now, Gengar, surprisingly, got a lot of love in the particular E-Series because there's also a Skyridge holographic. That said, the Skyridge holographic is widely seen as the far more valuable version of the card, but I still think it's pretty neat that I was able to get a PSA 8 of that card. I do have a 9 for the Gengar from Skyridge. Here is a reverse foil Pharaoh. Shockingly, didn't get a 10, it got a 9, but I'm okay with that too. Many of those cards, they're so obscure that it's either tough to find sales data or they're not as popular as you think they are. Here's a card that I often think about. This is a PSA 9 Dragonite Holo, so obviously a really dope card. Now, obviously, PSA 10s are going to be worth a lot more than PSA 9s, and so there was a part of me that was very curious as to what went wrong with this card. Because as you notice, the Dragonite is actually quite a large part of the holographic or the artwork on the card itself. So there's very, few and small places where I think, it could have gotten scratched or nicked. So I thought a lot about this card when I realized it was a 9 because I was like, woof. The only thing that I see is that, obviously pretty wicked chip. Now, I, in the last video, showed you a PSA 10 Gem Mint Chikorita that had a similar kind of white nick. And here is my 2 cents. Obviously, both cards PSA 10, right? That's graded by PSA, or rather, one's a 9, one's a 10. Both have a very similar white nick, right? One of 2 things either had to happen, right? Either 2 different graders, and so they saw the same thing and said different things about the same thing, which, again, happens. Grading is a subjective process. Or, and this is my theory, the right hand corner where the Chikorita was damaged, it was overage, or it was, you know, not enough. With this, I do notice it's just a slight bit more severe, and I notice that it kind of like digs into the edge of the Pokemon card as well. I'm going to try to get that on camera right now. Yeah, so you can see it kind of like cuts into the edge of the card itself, and I think that is the primary reason why this card got the grade that it did. Now, let's pretend for a minute that you, as my viewer, agree with me, just for the sake of argument. And the one thing that I would say to that then is, well, it kind of makes sense that, you know, eye appeal is driven by multiple layers and dimensions, right? So even though it's a, you know, nick in a corner of the card, obviously there are different, you know, dimensions that you need to consider when looking at this stuff. So because this Dragonite had it kind of dug into the card, as opposed to the Chikorita where it was very much lightly on the surface of the card, that is the key differentiator between why the Chikorita gets a 10 and the Dragonite gets a 9. If you're also a conspiracy theorist, you can say, of course, the reverse foil gets the 10, but the Dragonite holo, which would probably be worth a significant amount more money, will probably get the PSA-9 because hashtag pop control. Anywho, next up is a Cloister, and this is a card that I am so excited about. This card looks gorgeous. I don't know why I love water type Pokemon cards the way I do, but here I am anyway. Frankly, I had never seen this card before in my life. And that's weird, but Cloister's not a Pokemon. I mean, aside from a few really bad jokes, Cloister doesn't really get much love from the hobby. I'm sure there are Cloister fans out there for one reason or the other, but I never realized how dope this card was, and this goes back to what I was talking about earlier in last video, where I was like, yo, Expedition has some fire cards, and people are really sleeping on it. Here is a Expedition Clefable. Again, just another super dope card. Like, I think of this card, and mind you, this card came out like 20 years earlier, but like, I think of like the alternate art VMAX Umbreon, and I can't help but see some similarities in like the way that it's staged. So it's like, I wonder if that card is a spiritual successor in some way, or if like Pokemon card artists are able to like reference the artwork in other Pokemon cards. Here's a big one. So here is a card that many people will instantly recognize and probably not recognize all at the same time. We're talking the Charizard from Expedition. Now, there are two Charizards in Expedition, and I know for a fact later we will see the other Charizard that exists in the set. This is, in my opinion, the better of the two Charizards in the set. Mainly because it's in flight, and we very rarely, if ever, see Charizard in flight. And that's, of course, ignoring some of the more modern Pokemon card iterations, which have, weirdly enough, fixated on him sort of in flight, in travel, etc., etc. But here, he almost looks like he's quite literally flying. And in addition to that, there's also a swirl on his mouth, which I think is really cool. So, just a really nice card, not illustrated, but instead animated. And I think that's also a really nice touch on this card as well. Definitely one of the big cards that I remember from sending this particular lot of cards off. Here we have him in ye old reverse foiling patterns. So here's another really cool one. As you can see, they you know, did like a very abstract background. It almost looks like he's like in like hyperspace. And got a PSA-9. Let's flip it over on the back real quick. I mean, there's a slight little dig right there, but let's pretend that that isn't the only thing. I'm looking. I mean, unless there's some sort of, you know, scratching that I'm not seeing on the holographic pattern itself, still a really, really pretty card. It has a very good eye appeal to it, in my opinion. But yeah, just one of those things. All right, let's put that fella down, pick this guy up. Oh, good, here's another one. So here's a PSA 8. What's unfortunate is that I didn't get sequential 8s. I do believe this is 6. The previous one was 7, and then the holo was 9. So, but here's just the same card, PSA 8. You know, there were a few dupes of it, so that was nice because, you know, you can always keep one, give one away, etc., etc. Here's a Butterfree PSA 9. Again, primarily the artwork is what really gets me on these cards. They did like an abstract sort of cartoonish type of vibe to it, and it's one Butterfree going to meet another Butterfree. I think that's a different Pokemon in the background, but I think it's purposefully sort of obscured in purple, just to kind of leave the story that the card is telling just a little bit open for interpretation. Here's a big one from this particular set. This is a Blastoise holo from Expedition. Reasons why I love this card. Let's start with the obvious. There's a swirly swirl right there. So you got a really nice swirl, really nice location, beautiful, beautiful holographic pattern on this particular card. This is also a water type Pokemon, so of course I'm going to love this card till the day I die. Third, this is such a cool image of Blastoise, and I sincerely can't get over that. So let's stop and appreciate a couple things about this image. Blastoise has like a shadow slash echo to him, and it looks like he's underwater. So I'm led to believe like his cannons are coming out of water, but he also has like a weird like shadow image. Again, there's so much going on in this card that I am just in love with it. And what, again, is even more hilarious is that it's a PSA 10. So you've already seen the price on screen, but oh boy, this is a card. This card, by the way, will remain in my collection for some period of time. So if you're interested in, getting at me about this, feel free to do so. Obviously, the price that was shown on screen is one of the most recent, so that's just something for you to bear in mind and for your reference, but I mean, hey, totally open to it. Unfortunately, I couldn't pull it off twice, so the exact opposite, the reverse foil of the card, got a PSA 8. Again, no big deal. I think actually it gives us a bit of an opportunity to understand the card a little bit better. I think it's pretty clear at this point that this Pokemon is underwater. I just don't understand what the shadow is here. It's either like a vibration that that's where the image got captured or something of the sort. I also think it's dope because this is Blastoise, and realistically the only other dark Blastoise we get is the quite literal dark Blastoise, but this particular Blastoise also looks quite intimidating. And then, of course, I had to do it one time for the one time. I got the regular version of the card graded as well. So super excited because that is actually a really nice little like three-piece sequential cert type of vibe going on. It is 2, 3, 4, and you get one of each. One of the regular, one of the reverse, and one of the holographic versions of the card as well. Now, wrapping up the bottom, the very bottom of the pile of this cards is a Near Mint 8 Potion reverse foil from Legendary Collection, so I believe we're just wrapping those up right now. Next up, we do have the Mysterious Fossil, so another, old schooly card. And I bet you guys missed the reverse foil pattern because here's another one. So here is Challenge! Exclamation point. Another really cool Pokemon card. I always love when they do like a little like squad up pick where it's like Machamp, Hitmonlee, Arbok, Vileplume. No, that's not Vileplume, that's Victory Bell. And then Snorlax and Muck. So I think it's cool because you got quite a few different Pokemon in there. It's a it's a nice little like squad up pick. I think that's dope. So friends, with all that said, thanks again for checking out another video. A little bit of Legendary Collections, but other than that, a lot of Expedition, some really cool cards. And again, I hope if anything this video helps you to appreciate some of the cards and their artwork, primarily driven by the merits of the art that's being displayed as well as the style of the card as opposed to its price or anything of that nature. But other than that, if you enjoyed today's video, definitely feel free to leave a like on the video. Again, if anybody's interested in that Blastoise, feel free to hit me up. And yeah, most importantly, if you enjoyed today's content and you think I earned it, feel free to leave a big old button press on that subscribe button. That's right, I'm telling you to subscribe because it helps the community grow and we are always welcome to have you. But other than that, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. I appreciate your viewership as always, and we will talk soon. Peace.